Have you noticed during this time, maybe the end of August, you have been coping with something, maybe something that you thought you already healed? I'm relating with you because I have noticed that over the summertime, there's a little bit more partying, there's a bit more pleasure and temptation. So, what has tempted you that is something that you use to cope? And I'm talking about this because coping creates a habit, and that habit, if you consistently are doing it, clouds your power. It hides your power. And when you have no power or limited power, or when you're dimming your power, it does affect your inspiration, your energy, your desire to go towards your and do your purpose work, your mission work, your life's work, and create prosperity doing it. And you might find that you struggle more when you're indulging in your temptations than you do when you're not being tempted by these things that you like to comfort yourself with. So I have three, there's different levels of coping. There's those shameful ones, the ones that you don't want anyone to know that you're using or doing because you you feel like you would be judged. And I want to let you know I've probably done all of those ones, so I'm not judging you. And there is the ones that are like low level. You don't even think you're coping because it's so normal. Everybody's doing it, like those comfort zone coping mechanisms, like eating ice cream or chocolate every day. Or pasta or bread, like something that isn't good for you every day, or streaming. And then there's those coping mechanisms that are unhealthy, like having a glass of wine every night or a glass of scotch. And you don't realize that it's covering up your power. And how is it doing that? How is it doing that? It's covering it up because it's creating a system within yourself that is like it's the same. And you actually can't even notice that you are losing your power sometimes because it's so subtle or it's so strong. You get so used to being in that temptation or in that coping mechanism that the only way to notice the difference of how you feel, or if you feel better or worse, is if you stop and you change. And Merlin's joining us today too. So you want to be in your power, do you not? Let me know if in the comments if you want to have access to 100% of your power. I know that I do, and I know that I get tempted by coping mechanisms. And I'm going to share with you some shameful ones and some comfort zone ones that I indulge in, and I notice the difference when I don't because I'm a human being, or I did them in the past. And I notice the difference. And you can usually notice the difference within 3 days. All you need is 3 days away from that coping habit to get clarity that there is a significance difference between doing it and not doing it. And I challenge you to try it, just 3 days. Whatever it is. Maybe it's Facebook, maybe it's Netflix, maybe it's drinking. Maybe it's eating, some kind of eating mechanism. And you have a desire, the people in this who are watching this, you're high frequency, you're high capacity, visionary leaders. The thing with temptations is they often inspire us. Like, all that rock music was written by drinking and partying. It creates inspiration within us, but we don't take action. I was with an alcoholic for a long time, and he wanted to work on his cars, and he would always have these great inspirations. He was a landscaper, and he had beautiful designs. They would only get half done. They would not get finished. So think about your projects right now, that you have open for your success, that are going to lead you to being more successful and visibility and impact. Think about those open projects. What have you been doing instead of getting them done? What have you been coping with? And the reason we cope, why do we cope? Why do we cope? Fear. Something comes up and scares us. And because we're getting more power and we're really not used to having access on that more power, and we get afraid of how powerful we are. I have. I know that you have, because that's who I know. My clients are experiencing upgrades, but then starting to feel better. You start feeling so good. You hit an upper limit of like, I can't feel this good all the time, can I? And find a way. Your subconscious finds a way for you to lower this feeling good. Let me know in the comments if you've ever experienced that, where you're, everything and the momentum is happening, and then all of a sudden something happens to take you out of it. So, and you just start feeling not energized, not desiring to complete it. And we're dealing with all kinds of sources that help us to not feel the way we want to feel. There's society, there's news, there's astrology, there's your past, there's your family lineage. There's all these stories that we can hook onto to explain why we're coping. Like maybe you got laid off your job, or a whole investment went down, something like that. So think about that. Think about right now, what are you coping with? And if you want to share in the comments, feel free to share, but you don't have to. It's note it down for yourself. What are you doing right now that is coping? I know that I'm wasting time in the evening when I cope. So one thing that I've been doing a little bit too much of, and I want to get a handle on it, is streaming. And even watching things that are comedy. I watch comedies. And yesterday I watched the morning show because the new episode was out. And I even watched the last season to prepare and all that kind of thing. But really, really, did I need to spend 10 hours watching it when I had already seen it before? Was it necessary? And I can tell that when I'm watching streaming things and then I'm going to sleep, it's taking up space for inspiration that can be about me, about my path, my whatever I'm creating. So like it interferes. It's like we're consuming something that is unnecessary information that is interrupting the quality of receptivity that I'm hooking into. And I think if you're a sensitive being, somebody who's working and on themselves and self-developing yourself and expanding your access to your intuitive guidance system, how I like to call it, you're more sensitive. So if you've been streaming 10 episodes of something and you're going to sleep, it is interfering with your creativity, your impact, your power, because it's taking up space. And I know this because I've done it, and I've taken myself off of it, and I've noticed the difference. And usually we go back to coping because something is bothering us. And instead of looking inwards, we find something on the outside of us to help us. And I've done the study there too, where when I go inside and I look inside and I don't take myself away from what's making me feeling bad or not good or worrying me, if I decide to go towards it, like go into that fire within myself with curiosity, with openness, with love and compassion and gratitude for myself, there's something there. It moves the energy. But when I cope, when I say, nah, I don't want to go into myself right now, I want to watch streaming, I want to watch Apple TV. I want to take my mind off my problems. I want to not feel, I want to numb myself. Then I delay the process or the integration or the medicine that feeling is giving me. And this is what I help my clients with. And I do this through a life force activation membership where I guide people for 30 minutes to learn how to go within. Because not everybody has practiced it since they were 20 years old, like myself. And not everybody thinks that it's going to be easy once you start practicing it, or there's enough time, or those kinds of things. We can make excuses for why you don't want to look within. But I like to make things easy for people. And by holding space online in a live atmosphere, like we're all coming on to this Zoom at the same time, and then guiding you towards your inner world through life force activation processes with the earth, with the sun, with yourself, you start to notice yourself. You start to notice yourself. And you start to go into those things that bother you. And they transform, they dissolve, they release, they let go. And they create space for that power that will guide you and give you the direction towards your purpose, which will create more prosperity in your life. And you might even not even notice that you are running on empty because you're so used to running on empty that you don't know the difference. You don't know the difference. And you might be really good at running on empty, like a lot of us are. A lot of us are really good at pushing ourselves. A lot of us are really good with handling and managing overwhelm. A lot of us are really good at stress, tolerating BS and stress. And what happens is all of a sudden you break down and you get sick, or you break your arm or something like that so you can recover, but you don't refill. You don't refill on energy and vitality and life force. You just get back to that empty space, that the running on empty level that you're used to. And I know this because I've also tried that. I've also been in that situation as well when I was an accountant and just pushing through tax season and forcing myself to go into, drinking a ton of coffee. And that's another one of the things that I like to cope with is coffee with lots of cream. And I'm not supposed to drink dairy, and dairy gives me allergies, like makes me stuffed up and stuff like that. And I've been drinking coffee and cream because I have been, procrastinating a bit on some big projects that I want to get done. And now that I'm paying attention and I only had one coffee with cream today, and tomorrow I'll just go right off of it. I'll go to green tea again because I ran out of my coffee and I won't refill it. And I don't like to drink coffee without cream. So I'm not going to just drink coffee. So tomorrow I'll notice another difference in energy, in desire. Desire. These coping mechanisms cover up our desire to actualize our potential. They keep us thinking that we have power and that this is the level of power that is us or you. But there is so much more power available within you that you're not accessing. And the only reason I know this is because I've been there, I've done it, I've tried it. I used to be a smoker. And when I quit smoking, and I quit multiple times, so that's how I know that the difference, right? Like multiple times I had the contrast between smoking and not smoking and smoking and not smoking. And it robs me of my desire. It dims me. I don't want to go out. I don't want to be visible. I want to hide. And it helps me to hide myself. But when I'm not smoking, I want to go to the gym. I want to work out. I want to be visible. I want to be on Facebook. I want, you know, those types of things. And you might have some kind of a way that you're coping that's similar to that, that's not as destructive. Or maybe you have even a worse one that's more destructive. So how are you coping? And the way to kind of get a hold of it, to see if you're coping with anything, because you might think, I don't have any addictions. I've asked people in sessions before, and this is, they just don't want to go deep. It's like, what is your coping mechanism? And they don't know. They don't know. They don't think they have a bad habit of anything, but we all do. There's something there that is robbing us of our power everywhere. And even like the tiniest of things can be robbing you of power that you could be using to fuel your freedom, fuel your desire, fuel your purpose, fuel your power, fuel your prosperity. And wouldn't you like to get a handle on what is the thing that you are coping with? So what you can do is start to notice yourself. Just notice, what is that thing that you're always going to, and you're kind of like unconsciously going to it? Like coffee. You're just making it every day. You're just going to Starbucks every day. I was doing that for a while. I was going to Starbucks after the gym and having a latte. And I was noticing that I was building lots of muscle, but I was getting puffier. And one day I was driving downtown to go networking, and I was having a latte. And all of a sudden I got this like drop in saying, you got to stop drinking dairy, like get off of dairy. And within 3 days of getting off of dairy and the latte too, and the coffee, the puffiness in my hands went down, the puffiness in my body went down. I probably lost 5 pounds of retention, of water retention. And so those are the little ways, and that water retention was also interfering with my energy levels. So those are the little ways. So the power of noticing is just like, what are you consistently, unconsciously going towards? Notice it. You don't have to fix it. I don't say you have to change it. Don't even stop it. But start to put attention on that and notice that. Because that is where the medicine is once you become more aware that I'm doing this all the time. Is this good for me? Is this serving me? You can start asking questions, being curious about it, and looking within yourself for an answer around this. You don't need somebody else to help you with that. I mean, I can definitely help you with that, but this is the test I'm asking you to take. And then And then you can start realizing what is in the way of the power that you need to do what you really want. Because if you're not making the money you want to make, you're not serving as many clients as you want to serve, you're not being as visible as you want to be, what is in the way? What is stopping you? And that's why I created Life Force Activation, is so that you can get information about yourself. You can access the medicine within yourself. It's not about me doing it for you. It's about me guiding you to yourself so that you know how to access yourself and source within the power that is there and fill up with life force at the same time, so that you can have more clarity, more confidence, more higher self-alignment, invoking health, wealth, and relationship success. And so I'm going to put in the comments the link to try out a $1 trial for Life Force Activation. And it's also a space where you, like during the trial, you can notice how busy your mind is. Because until you look inside and quiet, you don't really know how much stuff's going on inside your mind. And that's why people give up fast with meditation or, inner work practices, is because their thoughts hijack them and take them out of themselves. And that's why I like to hold space for that, so that you can, be in a container where there's other people going through the same things you are. And it does take practice. It does take practice to get to a point where you're quieting the mind a bit. Doesn't mean you're not going to have a thought. You can have thoughts during meditation, but like the string of thoughts that are repeating, that's what you want to get noticing. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you thought about this. Did this trigger you at all? Or are you looking towards getting more information about yourself? Or do you think you're coping with something, but you're not sure what it is? Love to send you back a message in the comments. Have a great day.